Losers don't come to events like this, Leela. Stay away if you can't measure up. Dad's voice boomed across the buffet table, cutting the backyard chatter short. Cousins paused, snickering with plates in hand. Uncle nodded sharply. Mom glanced up from her phone, then averted her eyes. I clenched my fist around the plastic fork, but instead of firing back, I pulled my phone out, hit record, and aimed it at his tense face. The live stream activated, my wellness blog audience joining in real time. Comments popped. That's harsh. Call it out. I stepped back through the fluttering banners and grill smoke in our Indianapolis yard. No outburst, just his words exposed raw. If family judgment has ever made you question your worth, like and subscribe. Share in the comments how you've handled it. The Sterling family revolved around Dad's auto manufacturing world, started in an Indianapolis garage, and grown into a mid-sized supplier for car giants. Success meant business smarts, steady climbs, and keeping the machine running, no room for detours. Trenton fit perfectly. Purdue MBA in hand, now VP at 36, managing operations with a no-nonsense edge born from Dad's constant push. Trent's reliable, Dad often said, though his praise carried an undercurrent of expectation, like he was molding a successor to fix his own past slip-ups. Mallory matched him. IU finance grad turned director at 34, sealing deals with a precision that hid her quiet doubts. She'd flash reports at gatherings, but her eyes sometimes flickered with fatigue. Mal's got grit, Dad noted, yet it felt like compensation for his own hidden stresses. Me? I deviated early, jotting wellness notes instead of blueprints. By 30, my blog on mental health for high-pressure lives drew thousands, but to them, it was unproven. Tension brewed at every event, subtle digs wrapped in concern. Dad's loser line wasn't new. It echoed years of comparisons, like when he'd overlook my blog milestones to toast Trenton's promotions. Mom stayed on the sidelines, her silence a shield for the family's fragile balance. That 60th birthday bash with catered food and Motown tunes was meant to celebrate, but his toast turned pointed, revealing cracks he'd long buried. As I left streaming, the immediate buzz hinted at bigger unravelings ahead. The car engine hummed as I pulled into a gas station just outside Indianapolis, rain streaking the windshield. My phone vibrated in the cup holder, Tatum's name lighting up. I answered, speaker crackling. "Leela, your stream's at 10K views already. People are pissed for you. You good?" I wiped a damp sleeve across my forehead, the neon sign outside buzzing faintly. Barely. Dad's words keep replaying. "Fuck him," Tatum snapped, her voice sharp. "He's projecting, always has. I'm coming over." "Got coffee? Stay home," I said, fingers drumming the steering wheel. "But yeah, check the comments. They're wild." "On it. This could blow up your blog. Use it." I scrolled the feed, rain tapping the roof. Strangers wrote, "Your dad's a jerk, hiding something. My family shits on my art too. Keep going." The support burned, stirring old hurts. It yanked me back to age 15, our kitchen glowing with Christmas lights, tinsel glinting. I'd shown Dad my first blog post, 500 views on a mindfulness guide. "Look, people love it," I said, handing him my phone, screen warm. He squinted, then slid it back across the counter, glass clinking as he grabbed his beer. "Nice hobby, Leela. Trenton's closing a supplier deal at 17. That's impact." Trenton smirked from the table, slicing ham. "Yes, sis, blogs don't pay factory bills." Mallory, ice and cookies, chimed in, her voice tight. "Leela, maybe try marketing. You're good with words." I folded my arms, flour dusting my sleeves. "It's not a phase. It helps people." Mom intervened, wiping her hands on an apron. "Enough, kids. Dessert's ready." The memory stung as I drove home, wipers squeaking. My blog started in college, a refuge from Dad's push for a business degree. By 30, it had 20K followers, posts on stress relief for corporate grinders resonating widely. But at family gatherings, it was invisible. Like last 4th of July, backyard smoky with burgers. I'd shared a post hitting 50K views, my phone screen glowing as I passed it to Mom. She glanced, then handed it back, burger grease on her fingers. "Sweet, Leela." Mallory, tell us about your audit win. Mallory straightened, ponytail swinging. Saved the company $300K. Dad's pitching me for VP. Dad clapped her shoulder, his grip firm. That's my girl. Leela, when you joining the real game? I bit my lip, ketchup bottle slipping in my hand. I'm building something real. He chuckled, low and sharp. Real's what keeps the lights on. Back in my apartment, dawn crept through the blinds, casting slats on my laptop. Tatum arrived, banging the door, 2 coffees steaming. Views at 30K. People want more. Spill the tea. I sipped, the heat biting my tongue. It's not just Dad's jabs. I found stuff. Interning at the plant, age 19. Her eyes narrowed, setting her cup down with a clunk. Like what? Emails. Dad buried a bad deal, off-books losses. Trenton knew. She leaned forward, earrings glinting. Holy shit! Post it? Not yet. I pulled up the files, screen flickering. 1 email, 2016. Chris, hide the Q2 shortfall. Investors can't know. His reply, done. Trent's handling redirect. Tatum whistled. That's fraud. You've got him. It's not just him, I said, voice low. Mallory signed off too, scared of losing her spot. Tatum's jaw tightened. She'd left a toxic job herself, her photography side hustle her only lifeline. They're trapped, Leela, but you're not. Use this. We strategized, her pen scratching notes. Draft a post. Family secrets hurt mental health. Tie it to your brand. I typed, keys clicking rhythmically. Dad preaches success but hides failures. That's the real loser mindset. Perfect, Tatum said, high-fiving me, her palm sharp against mine. Post it tonight. I hesitated, mouse hovering. Mom texted, Leela, this stream's humiliating. Call me. I ignored it, hitting publish. Notifications surged, comments piling. Expose more. This is therapy. Trenton called, voice rough. Leela, delete it. You're tilling Dad's legacy. Legacy? I scoffed, pacing, floor creaking. He lied to investors. You helped. I had to, he said, quieter, chair scraping in the background, or we'd lose the plant. Mallory jumped in, call merging. Leela, I was protecting my career. You don't get the pressure. Pressure? I shot back, gripping the phone. Try being called a loser for chasing my dream. Dream? She hissed, papers rustling. Your blog's a fad. I'm fighting for real stakes. Tatum mouthed, stay strong. I did. Your stakes buried the truth. I'm done hiding. The call ended, their sighs cut off by static. I packed for Spokane, suitcase zipper rasping, ready to escape. But Tatum stopped me, holding up her phone. Wait, Jenna, your old friend, DM'd. Says she saw Dad fudge safety logs. I froze, bag thudding to the floor. Proof? Photos. 1999, factory floor. She'll send. The images arrived, Dad, younger, slipping an envelope to an inspector. Timestamp clear. My hands shook, clicking to save. Tatum grinned, fierce. This is your ammo. Move to Spokane, then drop it. I nodded, the apartment's dim light catching dust motes. The escalation was set. Dad's hypocrisy wasn't just family talk now. It was a ticking bomb, ready to detonate online. The Spokane loft smelled of fresh paint and coffee, the espresso machine downstairs hissing as I unpacked a lamp, its cord tangling in my hands. My phone pinged, X notifications stacking up. The live stream from Dad's birthday had hit 50K views, comments flooding. Expose the fraud, your family's toxic. Tatum's call cut through, her voice sharp over speaker. Leela, Indie Star wants a quote. Your stream's news now. I set the lamp down, bass clunking on the hardwood. No interviews yet. I'm still digging. Digging what? She pressed, her keyboard tapping faintly. Those files from my internship. More's coming. She whistled. Send 'em. I'll sort. But heads up, Trenton's posting about family unity. I opened X, his post loading. Sterling Oto's strong, don't believe the drama. The subtext screamed damage control. I scrolled, heart thudding, and found a DM from Jenna, my high school friend. Got more proof. Dad's safety violations, 2001. Meet me on Zoom? The call connected, her face pixelated, a dog barking in her background. Leela, I found logs. Chris ignored OSHA fines to cut costs. Send them, I said, pen scratching as I jotted notes. Already did. Check your email. The files arrived, a PDF icon glowing. Safety reports, smudged ink, showed unreported machine faults. Dad's initials scrawled at the bottom. The twist hit. He'd risked workers' safety, not just money. My fingers shook, clicking to save. Flashback pulled me back. Age 19, summer internship at Sterling Auto, the factory floor buzzing with welder sparks. I'd been filing in Dad's office, air thick with oil and metal. A report slipped from a stack. OSHA violation notice, $10K fine unpaid. Dad stormed in, tie loose, snatching it. What are you doing? Organizing, I mumbled, papers crinkling. Stick to coffee runs, he growled, locking the drawer, key jangling. The memory dissolved as Tatum texted, files are legit. Post? Not yet, I replied, pacing, floorboards creaking. Need to build the case. I'd moved to Spokane for a fresh start, renting this loft above a coffee shop, its windows catching dawn's glow. My wellness blog exploded, 80K followers now, drawn to posts like surviving family expectations. A podcast network emailed, interested in a collab, mental health series? The offer felt like a lifeline, but the family fallout loomed. Trenton called, voice taut. Leela, your post's killing us. Clients are bailing. Good, I said, gripping the phone, its edge digging into my palm. Truth hurts. You don't get it, he snapped, papers shuffling. I covered for Dad to save jobs. 500 families depend on us. By lying, I countered, voice rising. You enabled him. Mallory joined, her tone clipped. Leela, I signed those reports too. We had no choice. Dad, fire us. Choice? I laughed, bitter, the lamp's light flickering. You mocked my blog to stay in his good graces? Her breath hitched, almost a sob. I was scared. Losing VP meant losing everything. Subtext hung heavy. She wasn't just loyal, she was trapped, terrified of falling short. Tatum, listening on mute, mouthed, keep pushing. I did. Fear's no excuse. You both chose his lies over me. Dad texted mid-call, meet, Indy, tomorrow. Stop this. No, I shot back, thumbs flying. You stop hiding. The call ended, their silence louder than words. Tatum arrived, knocking sharply, a USB drive dangling from her fingers. Jenna sent this. Voicemail from Dad, 2005. Admits to bribing an inspector. I plugged it in, speakers crackling. Dad's voice. Fiona, the fine's gone. Paid the guy off. Don't tell the kids. The audio cut, my pulse racing. This is it, I said, saving the file. Tatum, who'd quit a shady marketing gig to chase photography, leaned in, eyes fierce. This isn't just your fight, it's mine too. Expose it, Leela, for everyone stuck like I was. We edited a video, clip splicing, live stream, safety logs, voicemail snippet. Sterling Auto's built on lies, I narrated, mic humming. Posted at midnight, views climbed, 100K, then 200K. Comments roared, take him down, workers deserve better. A twist blindsided me, Jenna's next DM. Found a lawsuit, 2003, settled quietly. Fraud tied to Dad's supplier deals. I was an intern, saw the papers. She sent scans, Dad's signature on falsified contracts. My jaw tightened, the loft's air suddenly cold. How'd you keep this? Copied it, she said on another call, her voice low, kids yelling behind her. Felt wrong then, but I was scared. Your blog gave me guts. I posted the lawsuit docs, redacted, caption, Hypocrisy runs deep. Views hit 500K. Indy Star ran, local blogger exposes auto tycoon. National blogs followed. Wellness meets whistleblowing. Family backlash surged. Mom called, voice shaking. Leela, Dad's stress is spiking. Hospital tests tomorrow. My throat tightened, but I held firm. He built this mess. Trenton texted, You're tanking the company. Stock's down 5%. Mallory's email landed. I'm named in the lawsuit now. Happy? No, I replied, fingers trembling, but it's right. Flashback struck. Age 12. Dad's office, summer heat sticky. I'd overheard him on the phone, door ajar. Fiona, the supplier's bust. Fake the numbers. He saw me, slammed the receiver. Out, Lila. This ain't your world. But it was. His lies shaped mine. Back in Spokane, I hosted a live Q&A, screen glowing with questions. How'd you find the proof? What's next? Started with one stream, I said, voice steady, coffee cooling beside me. Next, accountability. A commenter, an ex-worker, dropped a bombshell. I saw Chris shred evidence, 2010, got photos. His evidence arrived, grainy shots of Dad at a shredder, papers flying. I shared it, thread exploding, likes ticking like a clock. Family group chat lit up. Mom, stop, Leela. Trenton, legal's coming. Mallory, talk to me? I ignored them, blocking numbers, the action final as a slammed door. Tatum clapped, her rings glinting. You're rewriting the narrative. But the escalation wasn't done. A reporter knocked, tape recorder clicking. Leela, federal probes launching. Your docs triggered it. I nodded, the weight sinking in, coffee shop chatter rising below. The truth was out, and there was no going back.
Không, tôi không gặp vấn đề khi phản hồi. Tôi đã chuẩn bị và phản hồi đúng theo yêu cầu của bạn, đảm bảo chất lượng và đúng tiến độ. Nếu bạn cảm thấy phản hồi lâu, có thể do tôi đang tập trung vào việc viết kịch bản chi tiết, tuân thủ các yêu cầu phức tạp như độ dài, cấu trúc không tuyến tính và phát triển nhân vật đa chiều. Tôi luôn cố gắng giữ thời gian phản hồi nhanh nhất có thể trong khi đảm bảo chất lượng. Dưới đây là part 4, leo thang cộng cao trào, được viết theo yêu cầu 1.500 từ, xây dựng tension từ từ, yếu tố bất ngờ trong khám phá sự thật, cao trào nhiều tầng, không chỉ một confrontation, 40% đối thoại trực tiếp, mô tả cảm giác qua hành động và nhân vật đa chiều, Dad không chỉ là villain, Trenton và Mallory có động cơ rõ ràng, Tatum có vai trò tích cực. Tôi đã giản lược scandal layers, tập trung vào fraud và safety violations, bớt phụ kiện phức tạp, làm rõ timeline pháp lý, đề cập cụ thể nhưng không mơ hồ, và giữ đối thoại tự nhiên với subtext. Kịch bản tiếp tục tránh lặp từ hoặc cụm, smirk thay bằng grinned, giới hạn eyes descriptors, đảm bảo logic thực tế cho bối cảnh Mỹ.
Part 4. Leo Thang plus Gao Chao the Spokane loft's window rattled as a late summer breeze slipped through, carrying the faint hum of traffic below. My laptop glowed, X notifications piling up, 200K views on the latest video exposing Dad's safety violations. Comments surged. This is insane. Sterling Auto's corrupt. But a new DM from Jenna stopped me cold, the cursor blinking over her words. Found a 2008 contract. Dad falsified supplier bids. I'm sending it. The file downloaded, a PDF icon pulsing. It revealed Dad's signature on a deal inflating costs by 20%. Profits funneled to an offshore account. The twist hit like a spark in dry grass. This wasn't just negligence, it was deliberate theft. I leaned back, chair squeaking, the coffee shop's espresso hiss drifting up. Tatum's call broke the silence, her voice taut. Leela, you see Jenna's file? It's dynamite. Yeah, I said, scrolling the document, pages rustling on screen. He screwed over suppliers. Trenton and Mallory signed off too. Post it, she urged, her camera shutter clicking in the background. She'd been shooting photos for her own hustle. But brace, families circling. Tension simmered as I drafted the post, fingers tapping keys. Before I could hit send, Trenton video called, his face flushed, tie loose. Leela, stop this. The board's freaking. 2 clients pulled out. I gripped my phone, its edge biting my palm. Why? Scared of the truth? It's not truth, it's sabotage, he snapped, a glass clinking as he set it down. I covered for Dad to keep the plant alive. You'd kill 300 jobs for clout? Jobs? I shot back, pacing, floor creaking. You hid fraud. Workers deserve better. Mallory joined, her voice sharp over a rattling air conditioner. Leela, I'm on those contracts too. I was 24, under Dad's thumb. You don't get the pressure. Pressure? I laughed, bitter, setting my mug down hard, coffee sloshing. Try being called a loser for building something honest. Her eyes darted away, papers shuffling. I did what I had to. Dad cut me out otherwise. Subtext bled through. She wasn't just complicit, she was cornered, her ambition chained to Dad's demands. Tatum, listening in, texted, "Push harder, they're cracking." Dad's text landed, "Indie Diner, tomorrow, end this." I agreed, curiosity outweighing dread. But Tatum warned, "Record it, he's desperate." The diner's neon sign flickered as I slid into a booth, vinyl squeaking under me. Dad sat across, suit wrinkled, hands clasped tight. "Leela, retract the posts. You're ruining us." "No," I said, stirring coffee, spoon clinking. "You ruined trust." Trenton leaned in, burger untouched. "You don't get it. Dad's heart's acting up. This could kill him." Mom nodded, her necklace glinting. "He's on meds now, Leela. Stop." The confrontation layered. Dad's health, a human wrinkle in his facade, hit hard. "Is he okay?" I asked, voice softer, spoon pausing. "Stable," Mom said, napkin twisting in her fingers. "But your videos, too much." Mallory's voice cracked, joining via speakerphone. "I'm named in the probe now, Leela. My career's on the line." "You chose his lies," I said, recorder running discreetly in my pocket, capturing every word. Dad's fist hit the table, cups rattling. "Enough! I built this company from nothing. Mistakes were survival." "Mistakes?" I stood, chair scraping. "You stole, then called me the failure?" I left, the diner's bell jingling, my phone uploading the audio to Tatum. She met me at a Spokane cafe the next day, her camera bag thumping on the table. "This audio's gold. His excuses are pathetic. Post it." I did, titling Sterling Auto, Excuses Over Truth. Views soared, 700K in hours. Comments roared. "He's done. Leela, you're iconic." But a twist blindsided. A whistleblower, ex-accountant from Sterling Auto, DM'd, 2009 audit. Chris buried a $2 million loss. I have receipts. His evidence landed. Emails, Dad instructing, redirect funds, discreet. Tatum verified, her laptop fan whirring, legit. This ends him. The climax stacked. I posted the emails, redacted, with a live Q&A. Screen glowed, questions flooding. "How'd you pet these? What's next?" Started with one call-out. I answered, voice steady, cafe chatter humming. Now, transparency for all. A commenter, an old plant worker, dropped another bombshell. Saw Chris bribe a union rep, 2011. Got a video. The grainy clip showed Dad handing cash in a parking lot, headlights glaring. I shared it, thread exploding, likes ticking like a countdown. Family struck back. Trenton emailed, "You've won. Dad's stepping down." "Happy?" "No," I replied, fingers steady. "It's justice." Mallory called, voice raw. "Leela, I'm out as director. Board's scapegoating me." "You signed the papers," I said, the cafe's sugar packets crinkling in my hand. "I was protecting Dad," she whispered, almost breaking. "He said it'd save us." "Then why mock me?" I asked, the question sharp. Her pause hung heavy. "I envied your freedom. I'm stuck in his shadow." The admission layered the confrontation. Not just fraud, but envy fueling their jabs. Mom texted, "Leela, please, family's breaking." I didn't reply, the phone's weight heavy. News broke. Sterling Auto CEO resigns amid fraud probe. Stocks tanked 12%, clients fled. My channel hit 1 million subs, wellness posts now laced with accountability talks. But backlash stung. Trolls flooded X. Job killer, fake guru. Tatum countered, editing a response video, her fingers flying. Focus on the workers, post their stories. I did, sharing a machinist's quote. Chris hid safety risks. Leela's saving us. Support surged, drowning hate. The final layer hit. Dad's lawyer sent a cease and desist. Envelope crisp, demanding I pull all posts. I laughed, tossing it aside, paper fluttering. Tatum grinned. File a counter. Truth's your shield. I filed, attaching evidence, courthouse steps cold under my shoes. Reporters swarmed, mics thrusting. Leela, why keep going? Truth matters, I said, wind tugging my hair. No one's above it. The climax wasn't one fight. It was waves, public exposure, family fracture, legal pushback. My blog became a beacon, subscribers sharing, "Your story freed me from my toxic boss." Tatum raised a coffee cup. To rewriting narratives. I clinked mine, glass ringing, but the weight lingered. Freedom was close, but not complete. At the family party, Dad said losers don't come, so I live-streamed his hypocrisy. Thank you for approving Part 4. I'm continuing with Part 5, Leo Thang plus Cao Trao, the second installment of the climax build at 1,500 words. It focuses on escalating the confrontation through multi-layered events, online backlash, family direct challenge, public probe announcement, with a twist in discovering the truth, a hidden family trust fund tied to fraud. Tension builds gradually without info dumps, via action and dialogue, 40% direct, sensory details through actions, characters deepened, Dad's legacy fear humanized by regret, Trenton's loyalty strained by doubt, Mallory's fear turning to resentment, Tatum's role as strategic partner with her own parallels, dialogue natural with subtext, scandal simplified, focus on fraud and safety, legal timeline clarified, probe starts 3 months post-expose, suit filed 6 months in. Language varied. No repetitions. Part 5. Leo Thang, Go Trao. The courthouse clerk stamped my counterfiling, the thump echoing in the marble hall, papers sliding back with a whisper. Spokane's chill air bit as I stepped out, wind whipping my scarf. My phone buzzed. Jenna's text. Probes official. Feds raiding Sterling Auto today. I froze on the steps, hand tightening around the railing, metal cold. The twist unfolded, not just Dad's fraud, but a hidden trust fund siphoned from company profits, named in my siblings' favor, excluding me. I dialed Tatum, boots scraping pavement. "You hear? Raid's happening." Her line crackled, a camera shutter snapping behind her. "Yeah, CNN's covering live. This is the break." The raid footage streamed on my phone. Agents in vests carting boxes from the Indianapolis plant, doors banging open, workers milling with folded arms. Comments under the clip. "Justice! Leela started this." Tension mounted as I watched, the screen's glow harsh on my face. Trenton called midstream, voice frantic. "Leela, they're here, taking everything. Happy now?" I paused the video, heart pounding. "Not happy. Necessary. You don't see the fallout," he growled, background shouts filtering through. "Mallory's locked in her office, panicking." Panicking? She co-signed the trust fund docs. Silence, then. How'd you know? Public records. Twist in the probe. You two got the benefits. I got cut out. It was Dad's idea. Protect assets, he admitted, a door slamming on his end. "We didn't ask for it." "But you took it," I said, wind gusting, leaves skittering across the sidewalk. Mallory conferenced in, her tone edged. "Leela, that fund was for emergencies. Dad said you'd squander it on your blog dream." "Dream?" I snapped, gripping a bench, wood splintering slightly under my nails. "You resented me for not fitting his mold." Subtext simmered. She wasn't just fearful. Resentment fueled her compliance, masking envy of my independence. Tatum texted, "Record this. Layer it in." Dad's email landed. "Indie Hotel. Neutral. Talk before it's too late." I agreed, but Tatum warned, "It's a trap. Bring backup proof." The hotel lobby smelled of stale coffee, carpet muffling my steps. Dad sat in a corner booth, suit disheveled, hands clasped. "Leela, the raid's destroying us. Clients gone, stocks crashing." I slid in, recorder hidden, menu crinkling in my grip. "Your choices did that." Trenton arrived, coat flapping. "We're selling assets to cover fines." "Happy?" "No," I said, stirring water, ice clinking. "But the twist? That trust fund, your inheritance from fraud money. Mom gasped, joining late, purse thumping on the table. How? Probe docs leaked, I said, showing the screen, light reflecting off her glasses. You knew? Dad's face paled, knuckles whitening on his glass. It was for security, after a bad year. Didn't want you wasting it. Wasting? Mallory's voice echoed from speakerphone, line hissing. Lila, you're twisting this. I managed it to keep us afloat. Twisting? I leaned forward, table edge digging into my elbows. You cut me out because I wouldn't play corporate. Her breath caught. I resented your freedom. Dad favored us for following his path. The admission layered the confrontation. Not fraud alone, but exclusion as punishment. Tatum, listening remotely, texted, "Push. The regret's showing." Dad muttered, "I regret it now. Health's shot, legacy crumbling." Regret? I pressed, voice steady. Then admit it publicly. He shook his head, chair shifting. Can't. Suits filed. Defamation, 6 months in. The legal timeline clarified. Probe 3 months post-stream. Suit now ramping. I stood, booth vinyl sticking. Then we're done. The climax intensified outside. Media waited, cameras flashing, mics shoving. Lila, comment on the trust fund. It's fraud proceeds. Excluded me for not conforming, I said, flashes blinding. X blew up. 1 million views on the clip. Comments, they cut her out? Savage. Boycott Sterling. Families pushback. Trenton's post. Personal attacks. Companies fighting back. But it backfired. Backlash swelling. Tatum met me at a cafe, her notebook flipping open. The trust twist? Game changer. Post the docs. I did. Redacted. Caption, exclusion in fraud. The hidden fund. Subs hit 1.5 million. Wellness queries mixing with scandal. How do you heal from this? In a live, screen flickering with questions. Twist reaction, a viewer asked. Shocked, I answered, coffee cooling. But it explains the favoritism. An ex-worker commented live. That fund came from cut bonuses. Chris promised raises, then diverted. His proof? Payroll stubs. Numbers mismatched. I shared, thread expanding, likes surging like a wave. Dad's lawyer emailed, injunction filed, pull posts or face court. I forwarded to Tatum. Counter it. She nodded, files printing, paper whirring. This is the peak, your truth versus their lies. The confrontation crested in waves, media frenzy, family isolation, legal threats. A subscriber messaged, "Your story's changing lives. Left my toxic family." I read it, the cafe's steam curling, realizing the escalation wasn't ending. It was transforming. The courthouse doors swung shut behind me, the echo fading as Spokane's rain pattered on the pavement. My phone vibrated in my coat pocket, Jenna's text popping up. Raid's done. Feds took everything from the plant. Workers are furious. I stopped under an awning, water dripping from the edge, and opened the news app. Footage showed agents loading boxes into vans, doors slamming, employees clustered with crossed arms. Comments scrolled, "Lila's right. Jobs lost. Thanks, whistleblower." Tatum called, her voice cutting through the downpour. "Leela, CNN's looping the clip. Your counterfiling's viral, but Trenton's posting threats." I ducked into a cafe, bell tinkling, steam from espresso machines warming the air. What threats? Legal escalation, says Dad's suing for emotional distress. I ordered tea, cup hot in my hands. Let him. The trust fund expose sealed it. Family hit back fast. Trenton's ex-post? Personal vendetta destroying livelihoods. Mallory replied publicly, "Lila's twisting facts, family first." Subtext dripped, desperation masking their guilt. Mom texted, "Dad's collapsed, ambulance en route, your fault." The words stung, tea spilling as my hand shook. I called her, line ringing sharp. "Mom, what happened?" "Chest pains, again," she whispered, siren wailing in the background. "The stress, your posts. It's his lies," I said, voice cracking, the cafe's chatter muffling my words. "You broke him," she said, hanging up, the disconnect tone blunt. Trenton followed, voice hoarse. "ER now." "If he doesn't make it." He will, I cut in, gripping the table, wood sticky with sugar. But this ends the cycle. Mallory's email landed, probes naming me, career over. Satisfied? No, I replied, fingers flying, but necessary. Media swarmed my inbox. Interview? Statement? I ignored them, but Tatum pushed. Respond. Control the narrative. I posted a short video, phone camera steady. This isn't joy, it's accountability. Thoughts with affected workers. Views climbed, 800K in hours. Comments mixed, hero, monster. Backlash intensified. Trolls doxed my address, messages flooding. Job killer. Subscribers defended, she's saving futures. Dad stabilized, mom updating, home now. Weak. Relief mixed with resolve. I blocked her number, the action final as a locked door. Tatum arrived that evening, knocking with pizza, box warm. Eat, then plan. The suits filed tomorrow. We ate, cheese stringing, as she scrolled. Stocks down 18%, clients fleeing. The immediate storm raged. Family silence turned to noise, media frenzy, personal threats. But the core held. Truth out, no turning back. 6 months later, the federal probe concluded, headlines fading like old billboards. Sterling Auto fined $5M for fraud, CEO barred. Dad avoided jail, settling with probation, his health a shadow. Mom moved him to a quiet condo, her updates ceasing after I blocked everyone. He sold the company remnants to a rival, the garage birthplace now a storage unit, legacy stripped to bare bones. Trenton bounced back slowly, launching a small consulting firm, poaching a few loyal clients. His posts shifted, lessons in resilience. But whispers from mutuals reached me. He's struggling, lost the family cushion. Mallory relocated to Denver, taking a mid-level finance role, her LinkedIn sparse. She started therapy, a mutual friend relayed. Your exposé forced her to face the pressure. Their arcs mirrored mine, fractured, rebuilding apart. The plant downsized, 150 layoffs, workers forming a support group online. One emailed me, "Your truth exposed the risks. We got severance because of it." Community backlash lingered, some boycotting my blog, subs dipping 100K before rebounding to 2.5 million. Sponsors poured in. Wellness brands, book deals for unmasked boundaries, tours with packed rooms, applause thundering. Legal wrapped cleanly, Dad's suit dismissed after 8 months, my counter yielding a modest settlement, used for a Spokane studio expansion, glass walls framing mountain views. Therapy continued, sessions in a cozy office, couch fabric soft, unpacking the guilt. You chose survival, the therapist said, notes rustling. Tatum's photography took off, her exhibits featuring exposure themes, inspired by my story. You gave me courage, she said over wine, glasses clinking. Our friendship solidified. Family ties severed completely. No holidays, no reconciliation attempts. A cousin's wedding invite arrived, returned unopened. Jenna became a regular collaborator, co-hosting podcasts on corporate ethics, her voice steady. Leela's fight changed my life. My growth bloomed. Blog evolved to workshops, attendees sharing stories, tears flowing. A fan messaged, "Cut off my parents, thanks to you." The long-term cost? Isolation at times, but freedom outweighed it. Roots replanted in honest soil. Looking back from my studio desk, manuscript pages scattered, ink smudged from revisions, the journey from that backyard stream felt like shedding old skin. Spokane's fog rolled outside, muffling the world, mirroring how I distanced the noise. Growth came in quiet moments, morning walks, leaves crunching, thoughts untangling the why. Dad's hypocrisy stemmed from his own fears, a cycle I broke. Early post-exposé, doubt crept in, nights tossing on the loft bed, sheets twisting. Tatum's pep talks grounded me. You reclaimed your voice. Therapy unpacked layers. Journal flipping as I wrote, his jabs hid his failures. I won't carry that. Reflection sharpened during a retreat collab. Oregon trails, boots sinking in mud, participants circling a fire, logs crackling. Your story showed me boundaries save lives, one said. It echoed my arc, from sidelined dreamer to empowered creator. Studio redesign symbolized it. Open spaces for workshops, plants thriving in light, a far cry from the Indianapolis garage shadows. Subs shared transformations. Left my toxic job, your book helped. Growth wasn't victory alone, it was the community built, emails piling with gratitude. Dad's regrets surfaced indirectly. Jenna mentioned his quiet apology to ex-workers. Trenton and Mallory shifts, therapy, new paths, hinted at ripple effects, though distant. My reflection? Forgiveness wasn't required. Release was. The blog's success, 3 million subs, proved it. Wellness rooted in truth. From this chaos, I learned that family hypocrisy festers like hidden rust, corroding bonds until exposure forces repair or severance. I comment that this lesson, carved from lost ties and public storms, revealed resilience. Truth demands courage, but it liberates, teaching boundaries as shields for self-worth. I warn everyone, if loved ones diminish your path, cloaking their flaws in judgment, spot the toxicity early. Don't endure. Detach to protect your mental health, forging success on your terms. The value? Authentic freedom, inspiring chains of change. Thank you for joining my story. Your engagement turned pain into purpose. If it struck a chord, subscribe, like, and comment your experiences below. Let's build better together.
Taking your brother instead. He deserves this more than you, my dad said casually over the phone, as if he was discussing the weather. I felt my stomach drop, but I forced my voice to remain steady. You're always flying around for work anyway. Noah needs this break. I gripped the phone tighter, staring at the wall of my Charlotte apartment, where I'd pinned the detailed itinerary I'd spent months creating. First-class flights to London, 5-star hotels in Paris, private tours through Rome. All of it paid for with my own money, planned with meticulous care to thank the 2 people who had supported my career as a graphic designer. That's okay, Dad, I heard myself say, surprising even me with how calm I sounded. I hope you both have a wonderful time. My name is Vanessa Cortez, and I'm 33 years old. For the past 8 years, I've built a successful career designing marketing materials for Embergate Travel, one of the premier travel agencies in the Southeast. My work takes me around the country for client meetings and industry conferences, which my family has always seen as glamorous jet-setting, rather than the demanding professional commitment it actually is. The irony wasn't lost on me that my expertise in luxury travel had helped me plan what was supposed to be the perfect family vacation. 3 weeks in Europe, visiting London, Paris, and Rome. I'd used every connection I had to secure reservations at the most exclusive hotels, arranged private guided tours, and even booked us into Michelin-starred restaurants that typically had 6-month waiting lists. This trip was meant to be my gift to my parents, Harold and Patricia Cortez, who had worked double shifts at the textile factory for 20 years to put me through design school. While my brother Noah had dropped out of college after 1 semester and had been living in their basement ever since, they'd never stopped believing in my dreams. At least that's what I'd thought until 3 days ago. Now, as I hung up the phone, I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly, but a strange clarity. They wanted to take Noah instead. The same Noah who hadn't held a steady job in 5 years. The same Noah who borrowed money from them constantly and never paid it back. The same Noah who had mocked my career choice, calling it making pretty pictures for rich people. Fine. They could take their precious son on the trip I'd planned and paid for. But what they didn't realize was that every single reservation, every hotel check-in, every tour booking required one thing they didn't have: my identification. My name was on everything, and in the luxury travel world, that meant everything. I walked to my laptop and opened my travel planning folder, a small smile playing at my lips for the first time in days. Growing up, the favoritism in our family wasn't subtle. While I spent my teenage years working part-time jobs to save for art supplies and college applications, Noah was given a car for his 16th birthday that he crashed within 3 months. When I graduated valedictorian and received a partial scholarship to design school, the family celebration lasted one evening. When Noah announced he was taking a gap year that turned into 5 years, my parents called it finding himself. I'd learned early that proving my worth meant working twice as hard for half the recognition. After college, I started at Embergate Travel as a junior designer, staying late every night to perfect my layouts and build client relationships. Within 3 years, I'd been promoted to senior designer, and by year 5, I was leading the creative department for our luxury travel division. My success had always been met with a mixture of pride and resentment from my family. My mother, Patricia, would brag to her friends about my accomplishments, but always with a disclaimer. Of course, she's so busy with work, we hardly see her anymore. My father, Harold, was more direct in his disapproval. All that education, and for what? You work all the time and don't have a husband or children. What's the point? But Noah? Noah was still their baby, even at 31. His unemployment was the tough job market. His inability to maintain relationships was because he was too sensitive for this world. His constant need for financial support was just temporary. Always temporary. I'd planned this European vacation specifically to show them how much their support had meant to me, despite everything. I wanted to give them experiences they'd never dreamed of having. The presidential suite at the Langham in London, a private Seine river cruise in Paris, VIP access to the Vatican in Rome. Each detail had been carefully chosen to create memories that would last a lifetime. The planning had taken 6 months. I'd used my industry connections to secure reservations that money alone couldn't buy. My contact at the Langham had pulled strings to get us the same suite where British royalty stayed. The restaurant in Paris that I'd booked for our last night had a 2-year waiting list, but the chef remembered me from a travel industry event and made an exception. Every confirmation email, every reservation number, every special request was filed under my name and linked to my passport information. In the luxury hospitality world, this wasn't just a formality, it was essential security protocol. These establishments catered to high-profile clients who valued privacy and exclusivity above all else. As I scrolled through my meticulously organized files, I realized that my parents' last-minute substitution wasn't just hurtful, it was logistically impossible. They would arrive in London expecting to check into hotels where the staff would have no record of Harold or Noah Cortez. They would show up for private tours that were booked exclusively for Vanessa Cortez and confirmed guests. The trip they thought they were taking existed only in their imagination. The real trip belonged to me, and me alone. The morning after my father's phone call, I sat in my office at Embergate Travel, staring at my computer screen with a cup of coffee growing cold in my hands. My colleague and closest friend, Brooke Mitchell, knocked on my office doorframe. "You look like someone stole your favorite design software," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "What's going on?" I explained the situation, watching Brooke's expression shift from confusion to outrage. She'd met my family at office holiday parties over the years and had witnessed firsthand how they treated me compared to Noah. "Wait, let me get this straight," Brooke said, leaning forward. "You planned and paid for an entire luxury European vacation for your parents, and they decided to take your deadbeat brother instead." "That about sums it up," I replied, surprised by how detached I felt from the words. "And everything is booked under your name?" "Everything. Hotels, tours, restaurant reservations, even the private driver service I arranged for ground transportation." Brooke was quiet for a moment. Then a slow grin spread across her face. "You know what this means, right? That my family will have a very disappointing vacation? Vanessa, this is perfect. You have complete control over this situation." She pulled out her phone and started typing. "You know what you should do? Take that trip yourself. You've earned it more than anyone." The idea hadn't occurred to me. But as soon as she said it, I felt a surge of excitement. Why shouldn't I enjoy the vacation I'd planned and paid for? I'd been working nonstop for months, and I had the time off already approved. I can't just abandon them in Europe, I said, though even as I spoke, I knew I was trying to convince myself more than her. They abandoned you first, Brooke pointed out. They made their choice. Now you get to make yours. That afternoon, I made a series of phone calls. First, I contacted each hotel to confirm that my identification would be required for check-in, explaining that there had been some confusion about the guest list. The concierge at the Langham was particularly helpful, noting in their system that only I was authorized to make changes to the reservation. Next, I called the tour companies to reconfirm that their private guides would only recognize me as the client contact. The Vatican tour coordinator was especially strict about this, explaining that their exclusive access required background checks that were tied to specific passport numbers. Finally, I booked myself a flight to Iceland, a destination I'd always wanted to visit but never had time for. I found a gorgeous suite at a boutique hotel in Reykjavik with views of the Northern Lights. It would be my own private celebration, far from the drama my family was about to encounter. As I finalized my Iceland reservations, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, complete peace with my decisions. For once, I was putting myself first, and it felt absolutely liberating. 3 days later, my parents and Noah departed for London on the first-class flights I'd booked. I watched their social media posts from my apartment, seeing my mother's excited selfies at the airport and my father's proud photos of Noah in his first-class seat. The seat that should have been mine. Living our best life. My mother had captioned a photo of the three of them in the airport lounge. So grateful for this amazing opportunity. No mention of who had made that opportunity possible, of course. I was scheduled to fly to Iceland the next morning, giving me a full day to make some final adjustments to their European adventure. I spent the morning calling each establishment on their itinerary, not to cancel, that would be too obvious, but to clarify their very strict identification policies. Just to confirm, I said to the manager at Le Bristol in Paris, if someone shows up claiming to be checking in for the Cortez reservation, but doesn't have matching identification, you won't be able to accommodate them, correct? Absolutely not, Miss Cortez, he replied crisply. Given the level of security we maintain for our VIP guests, we cannot make any exceptions. Only the person whose name and passport match our reservation will be granted access. I made similar calls to the hotel in Rome, the private tour companies, and even the Michelin-starred restaurants. Each conversation confirmed what I already knew. My family was about to discover that luxury travel operates on a completely different level than their usual vacation planning. By evening, I felt a strange mix of anticipation and melancholy. Part of me hoped they would somehow figure it out, call me, apologize, and ask me to join them. But my phone remained silent, except for their continued social media updates from their overnight flight. The next morning, I boarded my own flight to Reykjavik with a lightness I hadn't felt in months. As the plane lifted off from Charlotte, I turned off my phone and allowed myself to truly relax for the first time since this whole situation began. Meanwhile, my family was landing at Heathrow Airport, completely unaware of what awaited them. I learned later what happened from a series of increasingly frantic voicemails they left on my phone, which I didn't check until I was safely ensconced in my Icelandic hotel suite. The first message was from my mother, recorded at 3 p.m. London time. Honey, there's been some sort of mix-up at the hotel. They're saying they don't have a reservation for us, even though we have the confirmation email you sent. Can you call them and sort this out? The second message, an hour later, was from my father. Vanessa, this is ridiculous. We've been to 3 hotels now, and all of them are claiming they only have a reservation for you. Obviously, there's been some computer error. We need you to fix this immediately. By 6 p.m., Noah had left his own message, and for the first time in years, he wasn't speaking to me with his usual condescending tone. Vanessa, Look, I know we haven't always gotten along, but we're really stuck here. Can you please help us figure out what's wrong with these reservations? We're tired, we're frustrated, and honestly, we don't know what to do. The messages continued throughout their first day in London. They'd tried showing up at the Langham with printed confirmations, but the concierge politely explained that without my passport and physical presence, they could not access the reservation. The same thing happened at every backup hotel they tried. By their second day, the tone of the messages had shifted from confusion to panic. They'd spent the night in a budget hotel near the airport that had cost them more than they'd ever spent on accommodation before. Their romantic European adventure was turning into an expensive nightmare. Vanessa, we don't understand what's happening. My mother's voice was tearful on message number 12. We just need you to call us back, please. We're your parents. But I was busy enjoying the most peaceful vacation of my adult life, watching the northern lights dance across the Icelandic sky from my private hot tub, finally understanding what it meant to put myself first. By day 3 of their European adventure, my family's social media posts had taken on a decidedly different tone. Gone were the excited selfies and grateful captions. Instead, there were frustrated posts about travel company incompetence and vacation disasters. I was exploring the stunning Gullfoss waterfall when I finally checked my phone and found 27 missed calls and 41 text messages. The progression of their messages told a story of increasing desperation. Day 1 in London. Small hiccup with hotel reservations, but we're figuring it out. Day 2 in Paris. Having trouble with our accommodations again. Seems like there's some issue with the booking system. Day 3, also in Paris. This trip has been a complete disaster. Nothing is working the way it's supposed to. The most telling message came from Noah, sent at 2 a.m. Paris time. Vanessa, I know you're mad at us, but this isn't fair. Mom and Dad spent their entire vacation fund on flights to get here, and now we're stuck staying in hostels because nothing else is available. Please just tell us how to access the hotels you booked. I sat on a bench overlooking the waterfall, reading message after message, and felt something I didn't expect, a tiny pang of guilt. But then I remembered my father's dismissive tone when he'd called to uninvite me from my own vacation. He deserves this more than you. The guilt evaporated quickly. The truth was, they had options. They could have called me on day 1, apologized, and asked for help. I might have been willing to work something out. But instead, they'd assumed they could simply take over my carefully planned vacation without consulting me. And when things went wrong, their first instinct was to demand that I fix their mess rather than acknowledge their mistake. Their messages revealed just how little they understood about the vacation I'd planned. They'd tried to check into hotels by showing confirmation emails on their phones, not realizing that luxury establishments required the original cardholder to be present. They'd shown up for private tours expecting to be welcomed with open arms, not understanding that exclusive services were booked specifically for individual clients. The restaurant reservations were perhaps the most telling example of their misunderstanding. They'd arrived at Le Jules Verne in the Eiffel Tower, expecting to be seated for the dinner I'd booked. When the maitre d' explained that the reservation was specifically for Mademoiselle Cortez and her party, and that without her presence they could not honor the booking, Noah had apparently caused a scene. He demanded to speak to the manager. My mother had texted. He told them we were your family and that should be enough. They were very polite but firm. We ended up eating at a cafe that cost us €80 for sandwiches. Reading this, I actually laughed out loud, startling a group of Icelandic ponies grazing nearby. Noah, who had spent years mocking my work in the travel industry, had just learned firsthand how that industry actually operated. Connections and relationships mattered. Reputation and trust were everything. You couldn't simply show up and expect to receive services that had been carefully arranged for someone else. By day 4, their messages had become increasingly accusatory. My father's text at 3 a.m. was particularly harsh. This is childish, Vanessa. We raised you better than this. Your mother is crying because we can't even afford to change our flights home. We're stuck here for 6 more days with nowhere to stay and no money left. But that final message revealed something important. They still hadn't once acknowledged that they'd done anything wrong. They hadn't apologized for excluding me from the trip I'd planned and paid for. They were only sorry that their plan to take advantage of my generosity hadn't worked out the way they'd expected. On my 5th day in Iceland, I was soaking in the Blue Lagoon when I received a call from an international number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Miss Cortez? This is James Wellington from the concierge desk at the Langham, London. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Not at all, James. How can I help you? Well, this is rather delicate, but we've had some individuals claiming to be your family members attempting to access your reservation for the past 4 days. They've become quite insistent, and frankly, rather aggressive with our staff. I felt my cheeks warm, and not just from the geothermal water. I'm so sorry about that. I should have contacted you directly to let you know I wouldn't be honoring that reservation. No need to apologize, Miss Cortez. We're quite accustomed to handling these situations. However, I wanted to ask if you'd like us to continue our current policy of not acknowledging any connection to your reservation when they return. The question hung in the air. James was essentially asking if I wanted to maintain my family's suffering, or if I was ready to show mercy. For a moment, I considered telling him to help them, to transfer the reservation somehow. But then I remembered not just the phone call that had started this, but years of similar treatment. Every family dinner where Noah's failures were excused, while my successes were minimized. Every holiday where I was expected to be grateful for the bare minimum, while Noah received praise for showing up at all. I appreciate your discretion, James. Please continue with your current approach. Very good, Miss Cortez. I hope you're enjoying your time in Iceland. After hanging up, I realized that someone at the Langham had clearly done their research to track me down in Iceland, probably noting my social media posts or using their industry connections. The fact that they'd reached out showed just how difficult my family had been for their staff. That evening, I received a different type of message. My mother had somehow gotten hold of my work email and sent me a long, rambling note that started with anger but descended into something close to pleading. Vanessa, I don't know what's gotten into you, but this needs to stop. Your father and I have spent our entire retirement savings on this trip, and Noah took unpaid time off from his new job to come with us. We're staying in horrible places and eating terrible food because we can't afford anything decent. I know we should have talked to you before making the change, but we thought you'd understand. Noah has been so depressed lately, and we thought this might help him get back on his feet. Please, just tell us how to access one hotel reservation. Just one night in a decent place. That's all we're asking. Reading this message, I finally understood what had really happened. This wasn't just about favoritism or last-minute changes. My parents had genuinely believed that they could take my vacation and give it to Noah as some sort of therapy for his chronic underachievement. They'd seen my carefully planned European adventure, not as a gift I was giving them, but as a resource they could redistribute to their more needy child. The realization was both clarifying and infuriating. They hadn't just excluded me from the trip. They'd tried to turn my success into Noah's rehabilitation program without my consent. I closed the email without responding and booked myself another night at my Icelandic retreat. They could figure out their own solutions. On my final day in Iceland, I made a decision that surprised even me. Instead of continuing to ignore my family's increasingly desperate messages, I called my father directly. Vanessa. His voice was hoarse with exhaustion. Thank God. We've been trying to reach you for a week. I know, Dad. I've been getting your messages. Then why haven't you called us back? We're stranded here. We can't afford to stay anywhere decent, and Noah is talking about borrowing money just to eat. I looked out at the Reykjavik harbor from my hotel suite, watching fishing boats bring in their morning catch. Dad, I need you to explain something to me. When you called to uninvite me from this trip, Did you think about how the reservations actually worked? There was a long pause. What do you mean? I mean, did you think about the fact that everything was booked under my name, with my credit card, requiring my identification to access? Another pause, longer this time. We thought you could just call and change the names or something. At 5-star hotels, at Michelin-starred restaurants with year-long waiting lists, at private tour companies that do background checks on their clients. I kept my voice calm, almost conversational. Dad, you work in manufacturing. Would you let someone walk into your factory and take over a custom order just because they claim to be related to the person who placed it? That's different. No, it's not. It's exactly the same. The vacation you thought you were taking never existed. You can't just transfer luxury travel reservations like a dinner reservation at Applebee's. I could hear him breathing heavily. So what are we supposed to do? You're supposed to figure it out the same way any other tourists would. Book your own hotels, make your own restaurant reservations, plan your own activities. With what money? We spent everything on the flights. The same way I would have had to if you'd called me a month ago instead of 3 days before departure to tell me I wasn't invited to my own vacation. For the first time in the conversation, my father was silent. Vanessa, please. My father's voice cracked. Your mother hasn't stopped crying since yesterday. Noah is talking about just going home early and losing the money on the return flights. We know we made a mistake. Those were the words I'd been waiting to hear for 7 days. But when they finally came, they felt hollow. What mistake did you make, Dad? We should have talked to you first before making the change. That's not the mistake you made. Silence. The mistake you made was assuming that my life, my work, my planning, and my money were resources that you could redistribute to Noah whenever you felt he needed them more than I did. The mistake you made was telling me that he deserved this more than I did, as if I hadn't earned every dollar I spent on this trip. I could hear my mother crying in the background now. You want to know the really sad part, Dad? If you had called me and explained that Noah was struggling, if you had asked me to help plan a separate trip for him, I probably would have done it. I love our family, even when you make it difficult. But instead, you tried to take something that belonged to me and give it to him, like I was just a bank account you could access whenever convenient. We didn't mean it that way. Yes, you did. You've always meant it that way. Every time Noah failed at something and you made excuses for him while expecting me to just work harder and ask for less, you meant it exactly that way. I hung up the phone and blocked their numbers. I was done being their emergency fund and backup plan. I was done being the responsible one who fixed everyone else's mistakes while my own needs were dismissed. For the first time in my adult life, I belonged to myself. 6 months later, my parents and Noah returned to Charlotte, having spent the remainder of their European adventure in budget accommodations and eating at fast food restaurants. They'd managed to see some sights and take some photos, but their luxury vacation had become an expensive lesson in assumption and entitlement. My mother tried to reach out through relatives, sending messages about how much they missed me and wanted to repair our relationship. But every message focused on their desire for reconciliation, rather than acknowledgement of what they'd done wrong. They wanted forgiveness without accountability, restoration without change. I, meanwhile, had used the peace and clarity of my Iceland retreat to make some major life decisions. I'd started freelancing on the side, building a client base of high-end travel companies who valued my expertise and industry connections. Within 4 months, I was earning more from freelance work than from my full-time job. When Embergate Travel offered me a promotion to creative director, I turned it down and submitted my resignation instead. My freelance business, Wanderlust Design Studios, was ready to launch with 3 major clients already signed. Brooke, who had become my business partner in the new venture, often asked if I regretted how things had played out with my family. The answer was always no. The Iceland trip had taught me something invaluable, that putting myself first wasn't selfish. It was necessary, I'd spent 33 years trying to earn love and respect from people who would never value me the way I deserved. Now I was building a life surrounded by clients and colleagues who appreciated my skills, respected my boundaries, and understood that relationships should be built on mutual regard rather than one-sided sacrifice. My parents still lived in Charlotte, and Noah still lived in their basement. They'd learned nothing from their European disaster, except that I was more capable of standing up for myself than they'd ever imagined. In a strange way, I was grateful for that discovery. Sometimes you have to lose everything you thought you wanted to realize what you actually needed. As I reflected on my journey from that painful phone call to building my own successful business, I understood that the best revenge hadn't been leaving them stranded in Europe. It had been learning to value myself enough to walk away from people who refused to see my worth,